The most difficult writing work I've ever done. Me sitting at my computer writing this thing and just crying. That's a really tough chapter, but this is now easier because I did the hard work. I'm nervous, I'm really excited. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there on this story. Hello everyone and welcome to another vlog. In this vlog, we're gonna be finishing draft 3 of Project Teacup. This one feels like it's been coming for a really long time, mostly because of the course of the last couple weeks. I've had a really rocky path with this particular novel. So just in case anyone's new here, I'm going to explain it like I do at every video. I'm sorry if it's repetitive, but just to run everyone up to speed. Hello, my name is Christy. I am writing a novel. It is a adult fantasy novel. I'm almost done with draft 3 and the last few weeks have been a complete pain in the butt. And my self-imposed deadline to get this book done has passed. I have 5 more chapters left, but they're the hardest chapters in the book because they're the ending and I need to rewrite the ending entirely. Essentially what I did last week, because I was determined to get the book done last week, I was so adamant. I was like, I'm doing it, I'm getting it done. I'm just gonna stay up late every night and write this book. And so I kind of just no-lifed it and wrote for like 11 hours a day and kind of like rearranged my work stuff so that I could get all my other work done kind of around the writing because I'm self-employed, so I have the ability to do this. Anyway, I worked very, very long hours last week and then I just didn't get the story done. There was a day last week where I was working on this one particular chapter and I won't tell you which chapter it is because if the book ever comes out, I don't want you guys to know which chapter it was that I struggled the most on. I spent 5.5 hours sitting at the library in the same chair, writing and rewriting the same 2,000 words. It's the hardest chapter I've ever written, not because the content was difficult, but just because I was trying to achieve these certain goals of moving the story in a certain direction with only a very finite amount of words, and I knew I wasn't getting it right, and so I had to rewrite it and rewrite it, and then the next day I spent another few hours, and so I think I've spent 8.5 hours on this one chapter, and thank God it's done because it almost killed me. I ended up taking the weekend off, and then yesterday I caught up on my normal work stuff, and I've been filming heaps and heaps over the last few weeks because I'm going on a trip to Japan very soon, so I need content to go up when I'm not here. So by the time you guys watch this, it's probably not April anymore. Here I am. We're gonna finish Project Teacup draft 3 this week. I am determined. There's only 5 chapters left. I have a little bit more work I need to do this afternoon on YouTube stuff, and then I'm gonna buckle down and do some writing and start working on chapter 36, I believe. I think I'm on chapter 36. Today is Wednesday, it's currently 3:26 p.m. and I have done about 2 hours of solid, decent writing work. I feel a lot better than I did last week, I think. I ended up spending about an hour going back over that one chapter, that chapter which I despise with every fiber of my being. I think in total I've spent like 10 hours on that chapter alone, and it's just, I hope it's okay. I don't think it's 100% of the way there yet, but I think it's far enough along that I need to just move on from that chapter because I'm a few chapters past that and I keep coming back to it and I need to ignore it for a little while. I'm currently working on chapter 35. In the last hour, I have written 898 words. So that feels so much better. Like that chapter that was really, really difficult was 2,500 words and has now taken me about 10 hours, whereas this was an hour of work and I've got about 898 words, and I feel like these 898 words are good words, and I feel like those 2,500 words are okay words. That's a really tough chapter, but this is now easier because I did the hard work on that chapter to problem solve for the rest of the ending. So right now my big focus is chapter 35, 36, and 37. As soon as those chapters are done, I'm gonna feel a lot better. Those are the really big rewrite chapters. So I knew from the beginning that I was going to have to rewrite a lot of this ending. I knew this even as I was writing the end of draft 2. I knew that it was going to take a lot of work, mostly because I I was trying to write the end of draft 2 a couple days before we went to Japan, the end of last year, and I didn't really have enough time to give it the justice, but I knew that I was going to be rewriting so much of the story in draft 3, and so I was like, it's fine, the voice is going to change, the central pieces are going to change, so it's fine if I have to entirely rewrite the ending. I did not anticipate how difficult it was going to be. Like, writing is always challenging, it's always exhausting, it's always a bit difficult, but this ending, oh my god, it's been so difficult. But I just have to hold on to the fact that with every difficult chapter I write, my skill is getting better, and you know, you're perfecting your craft and all of these things. But okay, I'm gonna get back to work. I'll let you guys know how I go for the rest of today. I managed to get through the whole of chapter 35 yesterday and half of chapter 36. I feel like the progress is going amazingly and I'm so happy. These last few chapters of the novel have been the most difficult writing work I've ever done. The goals I'm trying to achieve within a very small number of words, because I don't have very many words left. I think this draft is going to end up at 108,000 words. I'm trying to cut down the story and I'm trying to achieve all these goals in a very short space, and it's been very challenging because, as I've mentioned before, normally I'll just like write the draft, I'll write the dodgy draft and be like, it's fine, I'll fix it later. Here's the thing, now is later. It needs to be fixed right now. I'm writing from scratch, but I also have to write in such a way that it's the same quality level as the rest of the draft, because otherwise that would just cause more work for me later. Let's go to Muscovado. I love that cafe. It's a little patisserie in Adelaide. If you're in Adelaide, I so recommend it because the staff are always wonderful, the food's really good, the coffee's really good, and I'm gonna go there because I'm hopeful that they have some hot cross buns left. So let's go head to a cafe. Let's go work on chapter 36. Fingers crossed it goes well. I'm all home now. It is almost lunchtime. I had a really solid writing session, and essentially this chapter only has about 1,000 words left of it, and I feel really good, and I'm so happy that I'm back on a roll with this story. It feels so much better to know exactly where I'm going, to have problem solved all of this really frustrating stuff. I'm gonna sit down and write here for a little while, depending on how my concentration is going. I feel a bit tired, to be honest. It's been a really big work week. On Monday and Tuesday I had some really long work hours to get all of my other work done, so that on the back half of this week I could just focus on writing stuff. On a normal week I don't spend this many hours on writing, but this week I'm going to, because I really badly want to get the story done. I'm a week late on my deadline that I set. Like, this deadline is arbitrary to everyone else in the world, but not to me. And I feel like by this weekend I'm gonna be able to do the final pass on it and then send it finally to Tyler to read. Tyler is my partner because he is my first reader and he has a really good critical eye, and essentially if there's anything wrong with the story, like if there's any like really big red flags of, hey, that thing doesn't make sense, or this thing is just like a massive structural problem, he'll pick up on it. So I'm gonna send it to Tyler. I'm nervous, I'm really excited. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there on this story. It feels story shaped, like it's actually getting there in terms of the quality, and I feel pretty good about it. So I'm gonna stop rambling now. I'm gonna go back to work. It is currently 2:21 p.m. I have a wheat bag on my neck. Actually, this is what I look like most of the time when I'm writing. My hair is in some sort of mess and I have a wheat bag. Just me trying to deal with my neck pain. It's fine, it's been a problem since I was a kid. I have exercises to deal with it. It's just sometimes really frustrating, and managing the discomfort of having neck pain is a pain in the butt, so the wheat bag is like the best thing. Anyway, doesn't matter, I'm rambling. Turns out this chapter is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was only going to be 2,500-ish words. I thought I was going to spend some time this afternoon like cutting it back down again, but we're currently sitting here, chapter 37. Wait, that's the wrong one. No, sorry, we're currently sitting here on chapter 36, and it is presently 2,872 words. That's already more than I thought it was going to be. I think it's got another 600 words before it's done, but this chapter is really fun. Like it's a really important chapter, and it kind of feels like a lot of stuff is coming together. I had a really fun moment just before where this image, like I'd used this metaphor really early on in the story for this thing, that it was like a metaphor for a thing that happened in like the very first chapter, and there was a moment where I got to slot it into this chapter in like a really important spot, and I'd never planned to do that, but it just sort of worked perfectly, and I love that when stuff like that comes together, and it makes it seem as if you know, everything was perfectly meticulously planned, and like it wasn't. It was just that it worked together in the end. And writing can be really fun that way, where you sort of just find ways to work these images together and to leverage things that you already did, like leveraging locations or moments of foreshadowing or characters doing certain things. And it's not until I'm actually writing the story that my best problem solving can come forward and I can find the best ways to make things work, because when I'm plotting the story to begin with, I don't know the characters yet, I don't know the world properly yet. I know vaguely what the story is about, but I don't know everything intricately. And when I'm writing the story as well, I always change the plot outline I did at the very beginning, because it changes with each draft, and I fix things and I make them better. And the way I work is a little bit of a mess, but here we are. It's going really well. I'm at this really juicy bit of the story that's really fun. Yeah, it's not normally this ow, my hair is stuck. No. It's not normally this chaotic. Like, I'm not normally this go on everything, but like I'm really excited to get to the end of the story. I feel like we're going to get there in the next few days. From this point out, feel like I'm not going to be able to think about anything except for this story. So I'm going to buckle down, hopefully finish this chapter in the next half an hour. I just finished the climax of the book and I feel empty. Like, this is so dramatic. I'm really sorry. But remember how I was in a really good mood all day and I was like, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to finish this. I just got through a really big part of the story and it was a lot of hard work to problem solve it. The chapter I just finished is currently called chapter 37. But if this ever becomes a book, it's not going to be chapter 37 because I've taken out chapters in the middle and some of the chapter titles are going to change. And I just haven't changed the names of the like there's missing chapters in there. So I need to move all the chapters up and I haven't done it for the sake of my spreadsheet and knowing where things were sitting before and whatever. So don't pay attention to the names of the chapters. But the chapter I just worked on, I've been calling chapter 37. Of roughly 40-ish chapters, it's now less than 40 chapters. But I also worked on chapter 36 today, and it was a lot of hard work, and I worked for a really long time today. The climax of the story is done, and it was really big and really emotional, and now I feel very emotional. This is the thing about writing a big story like this. You get so invested in it. Like, I was writing this other scene maybe the week before last week, I can't even remember now, and I was just like crying at my computer because it was this really emotional part of the story. And it was like 2 days in a row of me sitting at my computer writing this thing and just crying because it was such an emotional thing to write. It's so funny, and it feels so silly to be sitting here getting this invested in a story, which is just words on a page. But this is everything I love about stories and storytelling. It's that these constructions of letters and words and spaces and punctuation on a page can give you so much. They can make you feel so much. And if the person writing that story doesn't feel those emotions, the reader's not going to feel it. So this is probably a good thing that I feel so emotional and drained and like I've just gone on this big, huge, epic journey, because I really felt this part of the story that I just wrote. And now I have the denouement, which is it's the bit after the climax. It's kind of the wrap up of the story. It's a fancy word for the wrap up of the story, but I have that to work on tomorrow. I think I have a lot of words to cut out of that because I think currently the denouement is a bit too long. I'm gonna have a really big sleep, and then I'm gonna come back to you guys tomorrow with me working on the denouement of the story. Thank goodness it is Easter weekend this weekend, because really on Sunday I can just zone out and eat a whole bunch of chocolate, and that's kind of what I need emotionally right now. So looking forward to that. It is a little bit later. I think it's like a week since I last picked up the camera for this vlog. I gave the book to Tyler. He is the person who's read all of my stories, like anything important I've done, anything important I've worked on. Tyler's the first person I want to give that thing to get his opinion. He's very good at delivering feedback, so he's going to be honest and he's going to be constructive. And so I think it's really important when you're writing and you're starting out with writing and you want to get better with writing is that you find people who are going to be able to give you that feedback, that really helpful feedback, where they can put their personal tastes aside and they can try and work with you to help you achieve what you're aiming to achieve with the story. Conveniently, my person is my partner, so we live in the same house. I can just deliver him the story. The stress of that is that I'm watching him read the book, and it's like the most vulnerable thing in the entire world. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I hate seeing people watch my videos. If I'm in the same room with someone and they start playing one of my videos and I can hear my voice, I physically have to leave the room. I hate it. I don't know, like being perceived, having the things that I make be perceived by other people while I can see them perceiving it makes me desperately uncomfortable. And so giving my story to Tyler, this book that I've been working on for so many years, this book which is so vulnerable and honest about so many things for me personally, giving that book over to someone and then having to sort of sit here for a week while they read through it has just been excruciating. And Tyler's reading it a little bit more slowly than he would read a typical book. He wants to make sure he's not missing anything. He wants to make sure he's like really taking everything in, because this is like, the book is important to him too, and he wants to do a good job at it. And honestly, the reason why I haven't picked up the camera and finished this vlog yet is because it's been a very difficult week. So I gave him the book, and then I kind of had a few days where I felt a bit flat about it. Like when I finished the story and handed it over to him, I kind of just felt empty and sad and exhausted, and I was hit with the most profound, not just imposter syndrome, not just thinking that, you know, I can't do it, but thinking that definitively the book is terrible, and going down that little spiral of this thing I made is really, really bad and it's not good enough and I'm not good enough, and that whole chestnut which many of us go through, which isn't logical, which isn't necessarily true. I think creative people can tend to be very, very self-critical, and it's not necessarily fair. And so I went down that path. I had a bit of a cry last week about the book, being like, I just want it to be good. I really want it to be a good book. And I know how silly this is, because it's like, it's words on a page, it's a story, like but it's so important to me, and I love this story, and I really want people to be able to read it, and I really want it to be published one day. And so this is just a part of the process for me. It was a really tough week this past week, because I had a lot of like work stuff to do. I'm prepping for us to go to Japan, and so the usual thing that happens when I go overseas is that I need to like double my content production output in order to like prep all the videos so that there are videos going out while I'm overseas. And so it's always a little bit tough in the weeks leading up to us like going on a trip, even though this is a work trip, it's not a holiday. Yesterday I had a really lovely day. I went with a friend up to the hills, and we went and explored Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens, and we got lunch. It was a really lovely day, and I really needed it. But Tyler has now finished the book, and thankfully he really enjoyed it, or at least he seemed to really enjoy it. He said that it was incredibly engaging. There were a lot of moments where he felt very emotional. He liked the magic system. He really liked the world. He really liked the characters. He's given me wonderful feedback. So there are a few areas that I need to strengthen. However, I was scared that he would point out something game breaking in the novel. I was really scared that he would see something like a really big plot hole or a really big narrative problem that I haven't been able to see because I've been staring so closely at the book for so long. When I gave him the book, I knew there would be things to fix. I knew there would be things to strengthen, but what I was scared about was him finding something really big that would take like a year to fix. He hasn't found anything like that, so that is absolutely brilliant. There's some characterization of a couple of the characters that he thought could have been a bit better fleshed out, and I do agree with him. There are a couple other things. Obviously, everything Tyler says to me in terms of feedback, like I can choose to listen to or not listen to. It's my job as the person writing the story to be like, that's helpful, that's not helpful, that I can use, that's a personal taste thing. Basically, when you get feedback, like in a creative context like this, like when you're the person who's solely making that thing, the feedback should really be, in my opinion, a jumping off point for you to think about, not a gospel thing that you have to follow. So like even with the like things I've had published, and I've worked with editors before, it's like they can suggest things, but you can always chat to them about like what you actually want to achieve. Like you don't have to do anything. And so there's a few suggestions that Tyler's made that I'm like, okay, I don't know if I agree with that entirely. I might try and solve your problem in a different way. It's really, really helpful in terms of me seeing the ways the story can be strengthened. And so I'm incredibly grateful to him, and I feel a lot better about it. I feel really, really excited about the book now. I'm really excited to get back to writing the story. I think draft 4 is going to be the final draft of the book before I send it off for querying. And so basically it's just going to be a bit of a polish. Like I have a list of things to do, but it's not a very long list, and so I'm really excited about that. I don't know how long the polishing is going to take, but it's all very manageable, so I'm really, really happy. Thank you guys so incredibly much for all of the support you give on these videos, all of the comments and the DMs I get, and it's such a lovely community we have here, and I feel so grateful for it. And reading all of your comments makes me really happy, and you're also enthusiastic for this story, and it means the world to me. So thank you very much to all of you. And also I should thank everyone on Patreon as well for supporting this channel and my creative work. If ever you want to see bonus videos from me, writing snippets, writing updates, our book club, our Discord server, there's so many things that we have over on Patreon. So if you want more stuff from me, please feel free to check out Patreon. There's a link in the description down below. Oh my goodness, guys. Take care. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.